Okay, so thanks everyone for coming to Metaverse Blockathon's last workshop, Workshop A, a workshop on 3D modeling of the Metaverse with Dean Yeager. And he'll be going through Spoke Editor to show you how to create 3D rooms and other models. So we're super excited for this workshop because it really is our only workshop that goes into the crux of the Metaverse, which is building out 3D models so you can traverse. So really excited to see how 3D modeling actually happens, and Dean's going to go into the depths of that. So thanks so much, Dean, for your time, and I'll let you take it away.
All right, well, thank you, Paul and Daniel. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to discuss creating a 3D shareable room in the Metaverse. I'll use Blender to demonstrate how I prepare and export models to import into Spoke's scene editor. I'll discuss the commonly used tools and how to adjust the properties to get a room built quickly. Hello, my name is Dean Yeager, and I'm a visual designer at NearHub, where we create private, shareable 3D spaces for collaboration, presentations, exhibitions, and social gatherings. Before NearHub, I designed websites and digital media for marketing advertising agencies. I pursued including 3D elements using 3D software to render 2D images and videos. Accessing those assets across the internet required a plugin to be installed for the web browser. We live in a different world today. Created for the modern web browser, Mozilla Hubs, and specifically the Spoke Editor, unlocks the doorways for people with a creative vision who only lack the coding skills to create an A-frame, WebGL, 3JS-based website. Using the Spoke Editor doesn't require you to code anything to create a shareable room. Jeff Gold, the founder of NearHub, and the development team have been expanding the functionality of the Hub's experience, such as adding token-gated experiences, a virtual phone with dApps, and peer-to-peer encryption available. A guest book with entries stored on the Near blockchain, a whiteboard, and connecting Near wallets to the in-room experience. So we can go and see some of our clients' work. We can head over to nearhub.club. I'll share my screen.
Yep.
So this is our website. We can choose to see some of our client work here. For example, we'll go into this one. Just put a quick little cheat sheet on how to move around. Basically, it's WASD keys. This is a site for NFTs. We can view and click through to other sites. You can also jump to other rooms.
Can you let me in the room?
This is the kind of immersive environments you can kind of create using Blender and Spoke. I can quickly show you how I did a quick 3D room. Jump over to Blender. Are you guys seeing my Blender screen?
Yeah, it's coming through.
Yep.
Okay. So in here, just a quick model put together since it is summer here. Figured a little pool would be kind of fun to do. So what I did is I kind of broke this up into 4 objects. That way, if I wanted to go ahead and texture it later, it'd be easy. This is just using the principled BSDF shader. This works really well in exporting to the GLB format, which we'll be doing. So you can kind of change all these settings in here to adjust the shading on your models. When you're ready to export, actually some things in here, just I eliminated polygons that you won't see from inside of here. So just to kind of keep everything optimized. If you're doing texturing, of course, good UV maps. And textures shouldn't exceed 2048 by 2048. If you're gonna go that route. But here we're just gonna use the shader just to get something out quickly. So I can export GLTF. Here you can do some different things to export active collections. If I just click on the collection itself, it'll export all the models in there onto one GLB. You can separate them if you wanted to keep or have the texture resolution a little bit higher. But for this example, since we're not using textures, we can just group them all together. They'll each have separate material, and materials are another thing you have to keep an eye out for when I'm storing Spoke. You can head back over to Spoke, or head into Spoke, I should say. So if you go to nearhub.club/Spoke, you can come into the Spoke editor. Actually, let's see if I can. These are the projects. When you log in, create a new project. So this is just the basic project that, as it loads the scene. And we will import our asset. Which I've already done. It's basically just click import, upload, find the file. And then if you roll over, it'll give you a little preview. And if you right click, you have some options here. And if you set everything up in Blender as you'd like to see it, just hit place object of origin. And now every time you import something from Blender, it'll be where you had placed it in Blender. Just up a little bit. So in here, after we place our object, we have a couple things to do to make sure the scene will work correctly. This here is the spawn point, where when someone comes into a room, this is where they'll initially be. So you can, if you anticipate a bunch of people, you might want to put a few of these up to turn things around, rotate. And this is locked on a snap for 90 degrees, which you can change and turn that off just by clicking it. Then you can duplicate. And again, translate these. Now you can have some spawn points so that multiple people can come in and they would just all be ganged up on the same spot. So in here we'll do a few things just to jazz it up a little bit. First thing, a pool should probably get some water. So we can head over to elements here, and these are the components that you can add into your scene. There's a bunch here to play with. I'll just go over a few. So we're going to add some simple water. So we'll click and drag that in. It pops up. It has an animation already into it, which is kind of nice. More of like an ocean type of thing. So we'll go over to the properties panel here and edit this a little bit. We can bring all this stuff down to 0 since we don't need a tide. Propagate height. So it's just the, actually I think some way of nice calm surface, and then we can scale it. This has a uniform, just click it, and now you can adjust X and Y and Z and separately. There we go. You can also adjust the opacity, so you can see through the water, and adjust the color. One thing about the water is that it's not two-sided, so if you go underneath, it'll be you can see through it. So what we can do is duplicate and then rotate 180 degrees. And then once we go into it, you should be able to see the water reflection when you're underwater. A couple of things we can do. There's a Skybox. So we have a source here. It's not really for a light source. It's more for specular reflection, which we can adjust the time of day. The latitude and time of day gets a little, you have to get kind of used to how that works. Basically, you can move the sun all around the world in the sky. It just takes a little getting used to adjusting the latitude and then the time of day. And all these settings you can play with. You can also add a sky yourself. So you can take an image, rectangular image, a 360 image. I can add that, and then the properties panel. Important to click off controls. Leave this the same. Projection is 360 equirectangular. And then we just want to increase the size of this a little bit. Now we have the sky. And now we want to match the sky. We can rotate the you can rotate the sky to match your lighting, or if the sky is the same spot, or in the spot you need it, you can adjust the directional lights, or you can add lights, and then just rotate the light to kind of match where the sun is coming from. Another thing, there's two different ways to manipulate things. One is world, another is selection. So world, it's always north, south, east, west, same direction. World to selection, and now I have the controls as they were for the selection, so a little bit easier to manipulate each object. So another thing we can add is fun stuff. Spawners are fun to add. You can add an object. Assets. Beach ball. It's copying the URL in this time, and then replacing it in the properties panel. Now this ball will be a spawnable ball in our universe. The water doesn't have a collider on it, so everything will just fall into it. So we can add a quick Box Collider right here. And what this does, even though it says walkable, you can't really walk on it, but it will allow objects to bounce off of things. So we can also, again, adjust scale here. Approximately water height. That should be good. The lights also have shadows. You can cast a shadow as long as, excuse me, your model also has the ability to cast shadow and receive shadow. Shadow is a little difficult to get to look really good. You also have to enable up here some rendering options. So lit, unlit, if you didn't have any textures in here that or lighting, you can do when you export out of Blender, you can use a background shader instead, so you don't need to have anything lit. You can save on lights. Actually, you probably need one light for the avatar itself. So I can click on shadows here, and now I get the shadows showing up from the light. So all that's adjustable. One thing with the lights though is that it starts to get some banding, and adjusting the shadow bias seems to help here. If I just increase it to 6.0006, seems to help. So we can go ahead and take a look at how this is coming together. Well, actually, one thing I want to do is add another element here. We can add media frames, and what that allows a person to do is when you're inside the room itself, the person can add images, videos, and 3D objects to the scene. So we can just kind of do this uniformly. And one thing to understand here is the object or image where it's placed is this center box here. The outer one is where it's kind of like a collider where you interact with it. It'll highlight, and that allows a person to add an element there. So you kind of adjust where that is. If two of these cross, it won't work. So you can adjust it so that two won't touch each other. Also, if someone spawns there, they won't just be in this big giant box there. Alright, so we have a scene here.
Should we add a particle emitter?
Good. They didn't have anything prepared for that, but just I actually want to show the other. Well, actually, yeah. Particles are cool though. What it does is sets up just a generic particle system. Again, manipulate it however you want to do it. And each one of these squares is actually, you can use an image, a transparent image. So if you're doing like a smoke effect.
What's governing the physics of Blender? Is there like an engine?
Yeah, Spoke, it does have, it is an engine to render 3D things, and there are physics involved, inside of it. This is just using gravity, but there's actually no physics on the particles themselves. That's kind of a bummer. So if its, well, there's not really dynamic in here, but if it was dynamic, it wouldn't, so yeah, they all move together. But it's still fun. It's just stationary. So, copy URL. So any URL in here, the transparent. So now I have my little puppy smoke balls, which first I want to increase the size of start part. So a lot of cool feet. It's kind of trimmed down, but there's still pretty powerful what you can do in here. So you just starting the size. Start velocity and velocity, so you can kind of have them move around. That's fun. A lot of things you can do. You can kind of create fire, sparks, smoke, fog, a bunch of fun things. So you can go ahead and publish from here. We can go check out the scene. In this panel performance check, it's good to kind of see where we're at. So this is saying that everything's nice and low file size, pretty much means high performance. So if polygon count here, a lot of these settings are optimized for mobile devices. So there's some settings here that we try to keep to, that way that the everyone has a really good experience that's nice and smooth. So hit publish scene. Do your scene. Create your room. Oh, one thing I did forget, you have to take off the Skybox. So it's a little weird. But here we are. And here's our spawnable object. Gravity. Bounce on top. I guess it's probably should put it a little bit lower. We can walk in the water, look up. There's our pool. Shadows. And if you want to place something in here, we have some buttons at the bottom here, so you can share the camera, the screen, or if you have an avatar that has a camera on, you can share your webcam. It'll project onto your avatar. To place, objects and images here. Just did a quick. So I'll pop see how the image now, or that bounding box pops up blue, and then if I use the scroll wheel, I can move that and it'll snap into place. So you can kind of decorate area how you like it. Here's our spot. Go ahead and fix that Skybox. So we can just you take out the visible part, and it'll still use the properties here for some additional specular lighting. and just reload it. And there we go. Skybox fixed. And there's our scene. Whee. Physics are fun. And at the bottom here, we can also do some reacting to things, which is kind of fun. So emojis are raise a hand if we're in a classroom type of situation. Also do chat in here for everybody in the room. And the cool thing is the phone. You can go to other projects that we've created, as well as on the protocol ecosystem. There's a whole bunch of other projects in here that other people are working on, all categorized. You can make calls inside of the room or privately. Yeah, it's fun stuff. Really good. I think that's about it. How to get a 3D object into Spoke and into a shareable room. And if I want to share it, click over here, invite a room link. I can just copy that and send it to somebody, and everybody's in here. Just so anybody wants to join, and they're welcome.
Cool. Did you establish that this was nearhub.io/spoke?
It is nearhub.club/spoke.
Right. So what you mean by this is that someone could click on that link and then do this modeling.
Yes. Well, you'll have to log in.
Look, sure. So that's so cool. So yeah. And you were saying just before on the top left you had like a pop up where you can go into different spaces, correct? Like I saw Tamago, I saw a few other.
Oh yes.
So is that like going to different like verses?
So on the phone, right? If
Yeah.
If I click, we can. It'll jump us over to that completed bit to this room and join in here. Some actually some fun stuff in here too. It's Fun Island. There's some stuff going on in here.
This one we do like weekly music events, open mic, some live DJ events, kind of different music events for Tamago. And then the music player from Tamago, it actually works on the phone in here, so you can have it kind of like a little personal Walkman walking around.
Oh yeah. That's super cool. And so I guess there's like an author of Tamago, correct? Right? And then that author created this realm or room, so to speak, right? And then they kind of curate the room, right? So I'm going to guess that not anyone can come in and build a 3D model and add it to this space, right? Like that would happen.
Yes, anyone can build right now.
Right.
And soon we're building in an NFT marketplace, so then all the scenes, avatars, assets will be like owned by people as opposed to just a file.
Okay.
And then once that's in place, then it'll be opened up so that anyone can mint their space and create and build it, sell it, use it, do basically whatever they want.
Gotcha. So they wouldn't though be able to override what's already been created. They would just have the opportunity to build around, right, or next to. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
So
the creator of the space has the creative control for it.
yeah.
And then they can allow other people to kind of moderate or access, but the spoke access to the file is only to the original person.
Okay, fair enough.
They can open it up if they want for remixing, so then other people can take what they have and then edit it how they want, or they can keep it private so it's only for them.
Yeah, makes sense. And so someone wanted to create their own realm or room, then they could, right? They would just name it whatever, and then they'll start building, and then would that room and the name of the room automatically pop up in the phone or not?
Not as of yet. Those ones are, for right now, kind of partner projects, but
Right.
as more of the other ones come up, we'll be having different boards for the different areas, and we're going to be creating some different offices and like apartment type scenarios.
Right.
So with those two, it'll kind of go to a lobby, and then you can go into an elevator, kind of teleporter, and then
Right.
put in the room number, and then it'll take you to that room.
Gotcha. So it's kind of like, NearHub is really pushing it at the moment just to build out some realms and some rooms, and people can kind of contribute to some extent with their own 3D modeling in those rooms, and then eventually, as things progress, people might be able to eventually build out their own realms of rooms, right? And then, yeah.
Yeah, in the very near future, we have this weekend we have a MMA fight being streamed in live 360 from Nice, France.
Wow.
That one, we're gonna have the exclusive stream. It's a 360 camera ringside, so it'll feel like you're standing where the coach does, can turn around, see the crowd behind you and everything.
That's amazing.
So we just got that set up and functioning this week so that can do high def 360 streaming inside. So it basically just puts a little bubble in the room you can fly into, and everywhere you look is as if you're the camera.
Yeah. I don't know when this is gonna happen, but like I'm super keen to actually have like a full VR, because I've actually never used a VR headset in my life, but I'm super keen to actually put a VR headset on and have a potential 3D experience with someone like that, like MMA fight, which is like with an MMA fight, like there's a lot of, they're moving very quickly, you know what I mean? So I'm very interested to see how immersive that experience is as it's being rendered in a metaverse room, you know what I mean? Like that'd be super interesting to experience.
We got it's streaming high def real time.
Yeah.
Well, there's like a 10-second delay from
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But it's just streaming in like 30 to 60 frames a second. So, and then you just kind of turn around and the crowd's behind you, or you can look forward as the guys are getting thrown into the corner.
Yeah. Maybe I can get work to invest in a VR headset. Let's see. Who knows? Yeah, it needs to happen. The next thing I have on my mind is so NFT marketplace at the moment in your rooms. Do they exist just imagine any other metaverse like in crypto voxels or whatever. You can go to a particular stall, you can go next to an item, right? Then you can click on the item or attempt to obtain the item, and then that could link you to an actual NFT marketplace like OpenSea for you to purchase, etc. Like there's like a full flow, user flow, right, for that. Is that something that is currently existing or potentially existing or will be existing?
It's currently existing. Like we have some kind of different DAOs and projects that have galleries set up with their different NFTs.
Yeah.
And then you hover over and click on it, and it'll go to their Paris or Mintbase or whichever place they're offering it from.
That's cool.
And then as well, once the marketplace is built in, it'll be in the phone. So then you can just kind of, while you're floating around, sit there shopping or pick out some NFTs, and share what you're looking at into the room to get someone else's opinion.
Yeah. Yep, super keen to see that. Dean, what other, so you for this workshop you decided to build a pool out, and then you show some functionality, like for example, being able to bounce something off the pool water, you had some smoke there. What other kind of rooms have you built out as well for NearHub?
The NFT galleries have pretty much been the most exciting. There are some spaces where we did that OWS, the theater type of situation. I really like that one where people can gather. There's a large area for video and to share stuff. What I think about the most about using this platform is kind of what Jeff was saying, and what you were asking is like a person can go into a room, post a photo or add something. Once you're in it, it's in that room. So you can kind of have this, kind of collaboration and almost archival type of thing, which is kind of fun. So I encourage everybody to go to the rooms and dress them up, and it's I think that's probably the most fun and most customizable thing you can do outside of just modeling it.
Yeah.
You can use their tools and really make a customized space yourself.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of what is it via Reddit or whatever, where basically there's a pixelated board on the internet where people continue to overwrite. What's that board? Do you guys get what I'm saying?
I don't see it. Yeah.
Like
Cheddarboard. Yeah.
Oh, it's a cheddarboard. Yeah, this is like the 3D version of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah.
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 We just gotta make sure that we keep it PG or something, huh?
That's right. No graffiti.
No graffiti, no profanity, NSFW, please.
Exactly.
So right now, as you were saying, Jeff, you're hosting like an MMA session very soon in Tamago. The other rooms and verses that you have, what are they used for? So that you were saying before, Dean, that you had like a room. Was it the red room? I know you got a room in a tree stump, right? I know you have that. And I know you got a red room. So would you mind going through some of the use cases of these rooms, like what they've been used for so far?
Sure. The red room, the OWS room.
Yeah.
That was for education and presentations. I think it was for the Near blockchain to educate people on that.
Oh, right.
What they're doing with it.
Yeah.
They had separate breakout sections, which was kind of interesting. So you could walk into a room or click on a room and it'd be a private room or a room that only had a certain amount of people in it for breakout sessions. So there's 50 people, you can kind of break out and do separate sessions for each. There's 3 of those, which is pretty interesting. That's another thing. You can link these rooms together. So I still have the perception that you're still in the same space. So from that room, you can go into a breakout room, but then you're really in another separate room outside of everybody. But then to get back in, there's a link that looks just like you're still in that room, and you click back in, and it's a seamless experience, except for the loading. But
right.
That's pretty much the only hang up that there is.
Sure. Just on that, like when you go into a breakout room, is it that you have to click a link and then you kind of like teleport into the room, or do you literally walk into a door frame and then you load in?
Door frame. Well, there's both kinds.
Yeah.
You have some where you can click and go to a private room, or
Yeah.
you can set up a private audio zone. So when you just walk past a threshold,
You can't hear, yeah.
the audio there won't be shared outside.
Yeah.
So until someone walks in, they can't hear anything, vice versa. Or you can make it where if someone's standing on stage, the audio will project everywhere equally, so that if they're doing a presentation, it overrides the spatial audio. So otherwise, as you get 20 feet away, it's hard to hear, and then this way people can kind of talk amongst themselves. But yeah, presentation clearly.
Interesting. So, I don't know if we brought it up before when the last time we spoke, but Mark Zuckerberg on the Lex Friedman podcast goes into great depth in his discussions about the intricacies of the interface of our sensors with the metaverse. And one of them is, of course, when we go through something like Zoom, all the conversation is like same volume, technically we're all kind of 1.5 foot away from our screen. We're all doing that. We all hear the same volume. And when we go into these rooms, now we have the opportunity to use just sound alone in order to distinguish your position in the room, your position to others, and you're choosing how much you want to be involved, right? So are you saying that in some rooms it can be chosen that the sound can be heard everywhere equally regardless of your position in the room? Is that what you said?
You can do it that way, or the opposite.
Jeff, you're muted.
A certain Jeff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, press space bar.
We're good.
Yeah, it can either make it where everyone can be heard everywhere, or pick a certain spot that
Yeah.
from you're standing there, it distributes everywhere.
Right, gotcha.
So you kind of like put a microphone, and if you stand by the microphone, everyone will hear you. If you're not standing there, it'll be normal audio.
Can you hear people gossiping? Usually or not?
Sometimes. Well, not gossiping, talking.
They're discussing pertinent topics.
You know, you can kind of set different kind of zones and stuff too. So if people want to talk in private, and there's also the phone, the little near phone built in there,
Yeah,
where you can do a private call on that.
yeah,
So then only people on the call will hear it. It mutes the room audio while you're on it, and you can hang up and it switches back to the room audio.
yeah. I find this very interesting. I wanna eventually have like a personal experience with doing that because like I'm interested to see the dynamics between in real life, like meet space version and then metaverse version, and see what we can get away with. You know what I mean? Like you might be in a room, but you might be able to get away with more. You know, so you can.
A lot of times having a conversation in there, it feels more natural than like a Zoom or Google call.
Yeah.
Even though you're talking through an avatar.
Yeah.
But just kind of like you can look around the room in it, like you can hear people talking on the side. You know, it just
Yeah.
and yeah, it just feels more comfortable.
Yeah, you do feel that spatial relationship between other people in the room too. So it's like if you stand next, it's like, oh, you know, personal space, but it's just kind of funny when it's virtual. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, exactly. Whoa. Yeah, and in VR, it's another layer that adds the realism to that. It's a different experience from the desktop into the VR. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and probably the anonymity as well, or the pseudo anonymity at least with the use of an avatar adds an interesting layer because like you probably can say stuff or do stuff that you probably wouldn't be comfortable trying to get away with in real life. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like in real life, like you might be polite and just say kind of like yeah, but in metaverse you probably just like run away, you just stare at someone. You know, like it's like what are you doing, man? Like leave. What was that?
Especially if you're playing with AI. We have some feedback.
It's fixed now.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's going to be interesting in a few years. It already is, but yeah, as more AR starts coming into it and being able to pull things from here into real world and vice versa, yeah, it'll be cool.
Yeah, it seems like just maybe AR is a bit more accessible from a technological perspective, like more short term. You know what I mean? So it'd be like the next step, because VR, like from a usability perspective, like it's a big thing, requires lots of computation. You got cords, if not cords, big batteries. You know, so like I guess from a UX perspective, it's like you've made a commitment to yourself to spend energy and time and capital, right, to get that scene. Whereas maybe with AR, it's like it's a much more smaller step where it's potentially portable, right? Like you can be anywhere, I guess, if it's working with your phone. You know what I mean? So like, I guess that augmentation with what you guys are already doing, what Metaverse is doing now, augmenting that in real life in a way in which people engage properly. It's gonna be kind of interesting because okay, what do you think? Do you think we'll have these metaverses, but then using AR in the metaverse, or would it be like, or would it just be that we'll just be like augmenting on top of meat space as we walk around? Do you get what I'm saying?
I think
Like,
that'll be happening,
yeah,
like for different applications.
yeah,
Like some will be pulling metaverse or virtual things into a real world to kind of, like that's kind of already being used a lot more industrial kind of side of things.
yeah.
They can kind of virtually check on 30 factories with one professional guy that knows how the machine runs. You can kind of go through and check everything from one spot, you know, basically pulling it into the room and then scanning through it. And then there's also the reverse, where scanning a real world thing and then putting virtual things into it.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like it seems like once again what Mark Zuckerberg was saying was like, you know, a huge step for the metaverse is like people's work. Like it's a big focus that he has. Like if it is the case that your workflow, you got work from home flow, right? If it is the case in the future using either AR or VR that enhances your workflow by 10% with regards to efficiency, then it's quite likely everyone's going to eventually transition into working in the metaverse because of just the pure increase in efficiency, you know what I mean? So it's probably 10 years away. Oh, you're muted again.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah.
In prices, you know, you can have 12 screens set up all around you working on different things and this task on that screen and just, but for the price of one headset.
The price of one headset is exactly right.
Buying 30 screens to wrap around.
I guess, well, if you think about it, right, like a good VR headset, like a really good one would be like, 4K or something? Like a few K, right? Like 5K. You probably could get like a good screen. You can get a good screen, 4K, for like $400, right? So if you can get 10 4K screens, so it's not too bad. But I guess you have...
It come down in price a lot. Like you can get 8K headsets, like DPI 8K for like $1,500, $2,000 now. And like most of them are under $1,000.
Yeah.
Like $1,000 is kind of getting higher commercial. Like the Oculus is like $300 now or something, or $400.
Yeah.
It's really graphics card, trying to get that. It's a little hard to get graphics cards these days, but if you can, VR is definitely a way to go.
Oh, for sure. 1 second. If Dan, if you've got a question, you can do it through my...
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, cool. I don't have any particular questions anymore or comments. I would just like to give the opportunity for people in the audience if they have any comments or questions. I probably should have done that at the beginning, but I obviously was too eager, clearly. So
I have one question.
Sure.
So my question is for NearHub and the spaces that we kind of like saw you playing and creating with Blender. The hosting currently is on NearHub, right? And then basically like kind of how does this as a platform NearHub, like how does it get hosted currently? And if you're thinking about decentralized hosting or basically besides the token gated access and the things that are kind of like tokens as we know them today, is there any decentralization on the content delivery side of things in your plan, even if not immediate, just like if you were thinking about it, or how do you think about it and stuff like that?
Yeah, that part's definitely coming. We're basically building an IPF cluster, and then once that's set up, we're going to create a Docker little containers that people can support the node, and then monitor contribution, and we're going to have a token that'll be mining back for people helping with that, and then as well other ones for helping on the server side. So pushing out the room audio, locational data, that kind of thing. So then kind of goes for that to kind of decentralize it that way.
Mm-hmm. And now what is the host currently being in used?
I have two. One server's on DigitalOcean, the other one is on Amazon.
Yeah, redundancy, makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
Not the biggest Amazon fan, but it does work well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Progressive decentralization, it's okay.
More encouragement to decentralize it and kind of pull off of there as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. Great. Cool. Yeah, look, I mean, you can't go full balls to the wall decentralization straight away. Like, you gotta start small, right? You gotta start in parts, and then as you build out and things get filled out, and then you can start working on, makes sense.
Yeah, I want to make sure everything's solid before pushing
Yeah,
it
yeah.
out to everyone too.
What's the most important point is that someone can actually have an experience, right? If the actual experience is not functioning, a shared experience, you know what I mean? Like, if that's not working, you're not captivating people, right? And obviously with Near's focus on UX, right, as a differentiator, if you're not getting that sorted first, and then it's gonna be really hard to then, if you go the full gamut of decentralization first, like, it's gonna be a lot harder to, get people to actually use it, because like it's the initial part's harder. So yeah, it makes sense. Cool. Does anyone? I don't think anyone has.
We're also we have a little NearHub comic that we're working on. Sam Toshi up baby is doing the artwork for it,
Cool.
based off the little NearHub's avatar, kind of doing a whole origin story and back thing.
That's cool.
And then gonna kind of making games to go with it, like little hyper casual type games.
Yeah.
And then gonna have like a choose your own adventure kind of scene game where you kind of go in and then go through different rooms and different things, different rooms and prizes. And
When is that coming out?
that one, it is in the process. It's just there's a lot of little
Yeah.
scenes and to have to map everything out
Yeah.
properly. So the comic is started and we're kind of doing a page a month. For
Love it.
like the next 10 months, and then people can kind of fill in one of the comment bubbles or the dialogue bubbles, and then they get
Nice.
voted on. Winning one goes into the comic and they win royalties from it.
Mhm.
They have the winning page.
Oh.
So then as the story comes there, we're going to be building it into the scene, but the community is kind of guiding the story a bit, so
Love it.
kind of have to wait a little.
So there's a question in the comments, and the question is, are there plans to support other file types, like Sketchup, CAD, for example? Maybe that's the answer.
There isn't currently. It's GLB, GLTF is the only way to get a model in there right now.
Can bring the others into Blender, and then
Right.
or enough programming convert them, and then bring it over, but can't bring in a CAD file directly yet.
Actually, I have a question about this. Hi everyone. So, will I be able I know now that you guys have the Hubs Blender exporter, okay? It actually has a lot of features and add a lot of cool things, like you can do the link thing there, and the UV scroll is very helpful, okay? So, what I'm asking is, will I be able to do everything in Blender without having to use Spoke? Because frankly, I hate the fact that I have to go through other 3D modeling softwares, and it's making me a bit crazy, especially that Spoke doesn't have the same movement command as Blender.
Yes, I feel that pain. There is. Actually, the Hubs exporter for Blender is really, really good. It's just, a little bit, you're kind of blind a little bit, because it will, to put a light in, for example, you have to put a null in, and then you go to the properties panel, and then assign that in the Hubs exporter a light, and then you have all the light properties. But those light properties are different from Blender, so you still need to understand how the Spoke works and what their lighting properties are. But they do offer, in one of the videos, he shows how to, one of the Mozilla guys shows how to locally test your scene. Can't quite remember exactly what it was, but so instead of uploading it and then testing it to see, light's too dark or too bright, you can actually do it locally. So once you export it, you can see immediately if those effects effects took place or not. So the Blender, there's other things with the exporter that you can't do in Hubs itself. There's some lighting effects, reflection. You can do a reflection map now. So if you have a room, you can create a reflection map so that the avatars and other objects that are reflective that you bring into a scene will actually reflect the light and the colors that are, not the light, but the colors that are around in the scene. So yeah, I think the Blender exporter is the way to go. It's just a little bit more advanced, that's all.
You can just take a GLB direct from Blender and just drop it into Spoke and just say make this a room and don't have to mess with any of the Spoke settings or anything.
Yeah, just a floor plan is really the only thing that it needs, so you can walk on it.
Cool. Looks like Ali is satisfied with that answer because he has nothing else to say. Yes, he answers in the chat. Yes, figured. Cool. A few great questions. So we are rounding out the hour at the moment. So if no one else has any more questions, then it would be good to wrap it up. So maybe I'll give people a few more seconds.
And if anyone has any questions after that they think of or anything, I guess the discord.gg/NearHub, and then there's like the little support channel, or just shoot us a message in general, and happy to help out.
Do you so it's nearhub.club/spoke. That's correct, yeah?
Correct, yeah.
I'm just gonna write it in the chat. Is there any other links you would like to give people?
Comics.nearhub.club for the NFT. We have a whiteboard at draw.nearhub.online
Nearhub.online.
or draw.nearhub.online.
Right. I'm literally just typing it in the chat. Maybe if you can, like, post the links maybe. Because like these are things. Because yeah, you showed us you had a whiteboard, a draw. You know, these are kind of like small tools that you guys have created to further enable people's experience and shared experience in the metaverse that you've created. So I felt like it was just like, I feel like when people go into it, they'll find it really cool because very quickly you get the sense of the thought process and the priority of like the user UX, which is what I feel like NearHub has done exceptionally well in that it's very intuitive from a UX perspective. It's very seamless, and I think it bodes well with the general narrative of the community that Near has. And so, you know, having draw.nearhub, talk.nearhub.online, you know, what was it, whiteboard.nearhub.online, you got all these things, all these tools that you can use, and you can put it in the metaverse. Is that correct, right? You can actually insert them in, you know, per whatever you like to do, you know. So I encourage everyone to go through those links. What I might do actually, I'm gonna put those links in our general chat on our Discord. Once again, like Jeff said, he also go on NearHub's Discord. But I'm gonna post it in our Discord just so. And what I'll also do is I'll post the links in the recording description of this video. So this will be this is recorded and it will be put on our YouTube. So I'm just putting these links in our general channel in our Discord. Yeah. Thank you for your time, Dean and Jeff. Really comprehensive with regards to, you know, one particular 3D model that you guys built out. You know, I feel like a lot of people will get a lot of value out of this just because, once again, this is our only workshop that went actually into detail on how to model, rather than user flow or ideas or history of the metaverse. Like you actually went into the meat of it, which I think a lot of people in this cohort will appreciate. So, thank you for your time.
Excellent. Thank you. This is great.
Thanks, guys, so
Hope to get
much.
back.